Ready? Okay. We are live. So, unfortunately, there are only two of us here at the moment instead of three of us. We're having some difficulty getting Dee onto the stream. We'll keep trying in the background, but here we are.
Technical difficulties.
As I put in the little comment section, golf swings are much easier than technology. Anyway, thank you for joining us here, Anne. Now let's have a look.
My pleasure, Brian. It's exciting. My first ever live YouTube.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It would be exciting. So we've lost Dee, which is very disappointing. It was meant to be all three of us. We've even gone for matching gear because Brian is an honorary pro golf gal for this live stream, and that's only me and not Dee as well. She's struggling to get on at the moment as we speak, but anyway.
But we're going to try and get her on. Even if we have to get her on, I can hold my phone up close and we can get her on that way. Okay, so what I might do, you start talking, Anne. We might go through, if you want to do your first tip, we'll go a bit out of order. I'm going to phone Dee. And I'll just get her on the phone and I'll hold it up close to the microphone and she can at least talk to everyone. Hello. Someone's on the red in lockdown in Melbourne. Justin Murphy. If I didn't have to do this and talk and be conscious, I'd be with you, Justin. I think I'd be on the red too. All right, Anne, you go for it.
Well, should I start off just quickly telling everyone a little bit about our ProGolfGals background, and while I do that, you can get Dee. Dee is the world's best golf coach, I reckon, but technology and Dee just don't mix at all. Every time we try and do anything like this, there's always a problem. Anyway, so Dennise and I are both golf pros based in Australia. We grew up playing golf together, basically, and our first ever pro event was the same one in Belgium on the European tour. So we've known each other a really long time, and we decided about a year or so ago to get together and do some video tips, and that's how ProGolfGals was born. And Dennise has been friends with Brian for a really long time. The whole sort of golfing fraternity, golf pro fraternity in Australia, everybody sort of knows everybody. Pretty small community down here. So that's how we came to be, and we're really enjoying doing all the tips. Hopefully you're all subscribed to our ProGolfGals channel and you're getting lots of golf tips. So I'm going to start off. We're going to do 6 tips, 2 each, that are designed around improving your golf from home. So I'll start off with my first one, which is about pitching. And something you can practice at home generally is pitching. I do have a tip that we've got a link to in the description showing you how you can practice any length swing at home in your backyard, no matter how small your backyard is, using sort of clotheslines and blankets and things like that. So that's down there. But with your pitching, especially on your shorter pitching, your chip and runs and your sort of 20 metre, 30 metre, 40 metre pitching shots, the ideal situation is to visualise a landing spot. Now, some people do this automatically and some people don't. Quite often you get so focused on the hole when you're pitching that you end up landing it at the hole, and then, of course, it's going to run all the way over the back. Do you need me to stop talking, Brian?
Well, I just want to actually add Dennise to the stream. Here we go. We got there. Fantastic.
He's here.
I'm only here because of Adita. She got me on, and it was saying, good. It's not your fault. Thank you, Adita.
Well done, Adita. We owe you a drink.
Yeah. You look beautiful. Look how well we all match.
Now, there's a problem apparently there's a problem with my microphone. So can someone tell me how bad is it? Is it really, really bad, or can you put up with it? Someone put a comment.
I can put up with anything.
Yeah.
We'll welcome anyway, Dee. We've got, let me just go through. We've got a few people here. We've got Sydney. We've got Perth. We've got James from Scotland. Hello, James. How are you?
James.
Gary. Singles. JK's drinking single malting Perth.
That's nice.
We'd like to know what everyone's drinking. That'd be fun.
Yes. Have you got a drink, Dee? I think you need one, sweetie. Good. Okay. Now, you were midstream there.
Yes, so I'll finish off my first tip real quick. So I was just saying, quite often when you're chipping onto the green, if you focus too much on the hole, you end up nearly landing the ball at the hole, and of course then it's going to run over the back. So it's really helpful to work out your landing spot when you're doing your chipping, your pitching, especially around those shorter distances, 20, 30, 40 sort of metre things. So when you're chipping and running, for example, if you're using a 9 or an 8, you're doing a chip and run, you want to land at about a third of the way, run at about 2/3 of the way. That's very generally speaking, because obviously it depends on the speed of the greens and uphill, downhill, all that kind of stuff. Then if you're using a gap wedge or a pitching wedge, then it's going to be about half and half to land the ball. So you can see from this diagram that Brian's popping up on the screen. At the bottom, I think we've got sand wedge. That's sand wedge or lob wedge, 2/3 to carry, 1/3 to roll. So that's when the pin's at the front. Pitching wedge, gap wedge, about half and half. And your 8-iron or your 9-iron, if you're chipping and running, is 1/3, 2/3. Now, this little diagram is out of my Passport to Great Golf, which is a little tips book that I have that you can take onto the course with you, put it in your pocket. Tells you what to do when the ball's above your feet, below your feet, in the rough, all kinds of different tips that you might want to use when you're on the course. So that's my little pitching tip to start us off. I've also got a 4-week pitching course that goes through all the basics of pitching, all your sort of basic technique, when to chip, when to pitch, what's the difference, what clubs to use, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that little pitching tip about working out your landing area is helpful.
So they'll be able to find that on your website, won't they, Anne?
Yes, Passport to Great Golf. There's also a link in the description below to that little book.
Okay, Brian, are we ready?
We're ready, Dee.
Okay, so this, I know there's a video on it that all our viewers will get, but it's a 5-minute warm-up that you can do at home. And it's basically working with some drills and things. But what I'd like to do is I'll get up and do it because I've got the lighting. So, and in my panic, I've got that as well. That's for something else. So the main thing we're wanting to do when we're doing our warm-up is, number one, just spend a little time. 2 things: getting your correct grip. Spend a bit of time getting the correct posture. Then the main drill I want you to do, hang on, got to duck away for a sec. Coming back, Brian, back with my golf club. So the main thing I want you to do, the warm-up drill is I'm going to do some little chip shots, some little Ys, just working on my impact. So if I come in here really closely, you can just see it's Y back and Y through, and I'm following the pivot. So if you just did 2 of those, that would be great. Then the next one, because that's working with impact, now I want to do a little stretch and get my shoulder curl going. So I do a couple of those drills. You can do 2 or 5. And then I want to do a few hinging up and down to get the wrist action going. Make sure there's no lights. And then I'm just going to turn and combine. So it's a good stretch as well. I'll turn and combine that to get the feeling of where I need to be at the top of the backswing. And then a couple of those, Sam's got his lights there. I'm going to swing back into the position and feel the stretch, Now, the drill I love the most, which is the downswing, so you'll do a couple of those. Go down your club, and you can do this inside on the footpath, in your garden. Back we go. And then we're just working on triggering the downswing, releasing the club down into this position, down. And then I'll come into my impact. I could have this little blue thing here. I'm probably taking up too much time because I know when
we've got all the time in the world, Dee. This is valuable information.
I'm quite rushed, So here I go, and I'll come releasing down inside, not over the top, back to my impact position. I'm using this here, back to the impact. Then I'll do a couple just going a little further. I'll head towards the camera now. Down, into impact, then through into the finish. So you can see I'm doing this in my living room, so you could do it at home. And then the drill I love the most, so I've done a couple of those. It's a good stretch. I'm puffing already. It's probably the frantic. Now what I do is I do the one I love. I love this drill. It was by Harvey Penick. It's the slow motion drill. So I don't know if I'll do it forwards, might be. Oh, no, I'll do it this way. We'll see. So I'm just going to go slowly back, really, really slowly, hinging and coiling as I'm going slowly back. Then I'm triggering the downswing coming through. I think I'm going to hit my window here. I am. Just move back. And I'm going to come through slowly, slowly, slowly into a good finish position. So you could do a couple of those. And I think what's so great about this, Brian, Annie, and everyone on, is that it allows you to go through several drills. I've probably skipped a couple. But they are on the video, and it's just a 5-minute drill that you can do at home. And I promise you, if you do these drills at home, in your backyard, on the footpath, you don't have to hit golf balls. You're certainly going to be improving your swing, which will hopefully help your scoring. And with what Annie said also with the pitching and what Brian's going to do, your game can only get better and better. So I hope that helped. Wasn't
so
quite
is that good for warming up before you play as well, those same ones?
No, I don't think so. I think there's some really good warm-up drills. I just do those at home. I've been wanting to do 5 of each drill. So it might take a little longer than 5 minutes. I was just rushing it.
So it improves your flexibility and all the right muscles and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think more importantly, Annie, it's kind of improving. You're working on getting your correct posture, your correct grip. It's working on your wrist hinge. It's totally working on getting your golf swing as good as your golf swing can be without actually having to hit a golf ball. Even if you did hit a golf ball, I'd do a couple of drills and then hit some balls after. But we're doing what we can do at home, so you can't hit golf balls at home.
Are you kneeling then?
You can.
Am I kneeling? Yes, I'm kneeling on my golf club, as I always do, because I love
Where's
my
your chair?
The blue thing's resting on it.
Oh, okay.
Do you know
comfortable?
Do you know the old saying? There's an old saying that nothing ruins a golf swing more than putting a ball in front of it.
That's
Everyone's got a great golf swing.
Game without a ball.
Absolutely. Now we've got some comments here. Divorce TV was asking, I think this was in reference to you, Annie, about is the chipper okay?
No. Sorry, Divorce TV. We all hate the chipper, don't we? As golf pros, we hate the chipper.
I actually
Can I tell you why we hate the chipper? Do you hate the chipper too, Brian, don't you?
Oh, we've got a bag full of chippers.
Do you like them?
No, I hate them, but we've got enough clubs in our bag. We can chip with every club in the bag.
Yes. I thought you meant you had a bag full of chippers. Now, the chipper is a manufacturer's way of selling you an extra club that you don't need, and it's kind of like a putter with an angled face, and you supposedly use it like a putter, and it sort of pops up and runs, and it's very specifically designed for just off the green, where you could probably putt anyway, or you could just use it a time. But the worst thing about the chipper is it's terrible for your technique, and it kind of gets you in this wristy putting action, and people start using it too far away from the green, kills your technique. I and most golf pros hate the chipper, and you don't need it anyway. Just use a little 8-iron or just putt when you're just off the green. You don't need it. We don't like it. It kills your technique.
Agree 100%, Annie. It's the biggest destroyer of a golf swing. People use their chipper, they start using it for 50, 100 metres out, and their swing is gone. Totally agree. Sorry.
However, I agree with you all.
What do you think, Brian? What do you think? Come on, Brian. What do you reckon?
If Divorce TV likes it and it works for her, there's no need to change.
Is Divorce TV a man or a woman? Oh, we don't know.
I think it's a woman, and she says, "Oh well, I'll put the this is her comment."
Oh, okay. Hi, Divorce TV.
If you love it, you go with it. You've got to love what you love.
Just don't use it too far away from the green. Don't use it too far away, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Her name is Lisa. Lisa, we've got to remember that, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. That sounds better than Divorce TV.
Basically, I always say that it doesn't really matter what I believe. if you're doing something and it's working well for you, even if it's crazy, stick with it, because if it's working, there's no need to change it.
As long as it doesn't start to impact your good technique on your actual chipping, because your technique designed for a chipper with chipping with a 8-iron or something is different to what they're wanting you to do with the chipper. That's the only thing I'd say. If you can make sure you keep your good technique when you're actually chipping with an 8 or a 7 or something like that. That's the only thing I would say.
Brian, but I think you're right, Brian and Annie. You know, it depends what makes you happy, and the idea is whatever we do, let's make us be happy golfers. So I think, Lisa, you know, keep doing. If it's working for you, you keep with it. Maybe down the track you might decide to change, but love it while you love it.
Good. Now, David Lee, he's the big fan of the one-length hybrid to chip with. Anne hates hybrids, David, so we won't ask Anne.
We've got a tip. We've got a tip Dennise and I did on should you chip with a hybrid. Can we put a link to that too, Brian? I know you haven't got that yet, but
I will try to do that. We won't be changing David's mind, and I think for the average person, I think that the hybrid
is great.
Fairway wood. And I'm a weird golf pro because I actually make people use drivers occasionally to chip with. That's a hoot. Have you ever tried that?
No, I've used a 3-wood, but not a driver. But I think, you know, the courses tell us what to do.
Yeah, exactly. I reckon just try everything and see what works.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There we go. So I did this on my back deck, and I put a bit of shade cloth on the back deck, and I got a towel. And you might think, what on earth is Brian doing here? Well, I'm actually using it to practice bunker shots. And this is one of the most effective ways to practice bunker shots at home because it feels real. So I would be getting that towel, folding it lengthways and then into quarters, pop it on the ground, and even without a ball initially, just practice hitting the towel and moving that towel toward the chair. Because if you're hitting and moving the towel forwards, you're actually getting the club accelerating through the ball. Not too fast, just getting the momentum traveling. And you can just see the ball rising just up here. And then we go to another still and you can see the ball up there. So I could actually, I've done it with this table over to my left that's behind me, and I've tried to hit the ball over the table. So if you imagine using a plastic golf ball and trying to do that, you'll really be able to practice that at home. It's a great drill. So I came up with that.
Brian, do you need to have a certain thickness of towel?
No, thicker the better, but it depends. Coming from Melbourne, we have very fine sand, so we wouldn't have too thick a towel, but it really doesn't matter. It's just a drill that you just make sure you practice hitting the towel and moving the towel forwards. It's really good for the tummy. You've got to bend down, pick the towel up, fold it, and don't tell my wife, but I'm actually pretty good at folding towels, but don't let anyone tell her.
Don't use your wife's best white towel, probably, either.
Would I do that? Yeah, I probably would.
And you fold it how many times, Brian? Like how many layers of towel? Just so you're not going to hit and hurt your wrist, possibly.
Yeah. You shouldn't. I don't think you can hurt your wrist unless you're coming down really steep. But you just take the towel, fold it in half, and fold it in half again.
Okay, perfect. That's a great idea. It's pretty hard to simulate bunkers, so that's pretty amazing.
It's the best one. When I was teaching kids and we had group clinics at Morak and we had the bunker class due, if it rained, we just grabbed a heap of towels and I called it my bunker simulator. And it very close to simulating sand. So that's my first tip.
That's great, Brian. Is that like the sand? The towel acts like the sand, like it's the sand that allows the ball to go out. You're not trying to hit the ball, so it's the towel and the sand.
Does Justin Murphy, does the towel have to be on a slippery surface? No, it doesn't.
That's a good question.
I've done it inside. I did it in a dining room at the Challenbar Golf Club in Ararat in the middle of Victoria. Not many people will know where that is. And so we did it in the dining room. It's sort of a third of the way to Adelaide going on the Western Highway. So, you can use it in the backyard. You can use it anywhere, really. So it's quite a useful drill.
And Brian, does the ball fly like a normal bunker shot would if you hit it properly? Does the ball fly like a bunker shot would? Okay. That's
absolutely,
great.
It does. Yeah. Now, I think, Annie, you could be on next again.
Yes, I have a mental tip. Have you got that slide?
Yeah. Let me get that up for you. And
so this is a quote from Nellie Corder, who you all know who she is. She's just won the gold medal at the Olympics. She's world number 1, and she shot a 62 in, I think, was it the second round of the Olympics? Anyway, she's a darn good golfer. And this quote of hers, she says, "Every day is a clean slate. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to shoot. And the best you can do is go in with a good attitude and try your best." So essentially, she's sort of letting go of control of the outcome. And that's a really good mental tip when you play golf. We do try and, want to control the score, and we want to try and control our swing, and all these things we want to control. We're all kind of control freaks, really, not just in golf, but in a lot of things. But often we take that into our golf, and we sort of wrestle the score, and we wrestle ourselves. So really good to try and focus only on what you can control and not what you can't control. So things that you can't control are your score and your swing on that day. Things you can control are pre-shot routine, having a good attitude, being patient, things like that. So instead of going out with a goal of, I'm going to shoot my best score ever today, or I'm going to, whatever it is you're thinking in terms of the score, I'm going to beat my opponent or whatever it might be, better to go out with a goal like, I'm just going to stay patient today, whatever happens. Or if the weather's terrible, or it's raining, or the play is slow, whatever, I'm not going to let it worry me. I'm just going to stay patient, whatever. So those sort of goals, things that you can control, are much more realistic than goals about scoring and things like that. So it's a good little mental tip. And I've got a 4-week mental course that you can grab. There's a link in the description. Talks you through all of the tips that the pros use, the mental tips that they use to stay calm and not get too nervous, and things like that. So have a little look at that. Check that out.
Excellent. So what happens if you start double bogey, double bogey, double bogey?
Oh, that sounds horrible.
How do we get through how do we get ourselves back on track? There's one from left field. We didn't do this
happen, doesn't it? Like sometimes you start so badly and all you want to do is just pack everything up and go home, crying all the way. But it's all about staying in the moment and not thinking too far ahead and not thinking too far behind, not worrying about the bad hole you've just had and not stressing about that water carry you've got coming up. So staying in the moment, going through your pre-shot routine, which I talk you through how to do that in my course. And also visualizing your shots is really helpful as well. I talk you through how to do that too. But staying in the moment, not thinking too far ahead or behind is a really great tip if things are going wrong. And same if they're going really well. If sometimes you're having the round of your life and you can blow it at the end, can't you? Because you're overthinking and thinking too far ahead. So staying in the moment is a crucial tip mentally to golf.
That's a really good one.
Have you started double, Brian? Are you speaking from experience?
I have. I remember there was one round when I was at Gisborne Golf Club and I was a kid. This wasn't when I was a golf pro. And I started double bogey, eagle, double bogey, par, eagle.
Wow.
It was a bizarre
2 eagles in the first.
Yeah.
2 eagles and 3 doubles in the first 6 holes.
I was about 15 or something. It was just one of those things. It's I'll never forget that round, but yeah.
It's a good story now.
It was a mixed bag. But
to say the least.
Now, Dee, are you ready?
Yeah, I was just going to say something about what Annie was saying. I think we've all had experiences where we've started badly or it's not worked well, and we try to get back into the moment. But I know when that's happened to me, I kind of just go, I know this is so corny, but I just go smell the flowers. I'll look at the views. I'll go, hang on. Golf is just like life. It doesn't have to be that serious. It's not the end of the world. And once I stop trying, it just comes back. Do you know what I mean? Like if I panic and go down into that rabbit hole, I am gone. So I think
that's why sometimes when you're playing really badly and then you go, oh, forget it now, I just give up. All of a sudden you start playing well again, don't you? For that same reason.
Absolutely, Annie. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you've just won a fan. David Lee's just popped this up. He's going to need another locker. These ladies' ideas could tame the Tassie Devil. So,
what does that mean?
When he's having a bad round, the Tassie Devil comes out.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. He sounds very interesting, David. You sound very interesting. I'd like to tame a Tassie Devil. So my next tip was a very simple one. So mine are really simple ones on alignment and pre-shot routine. Now, as there is a video, is it in the description, Brian, on the two tips I've given? So I think I rushed those last ones quite badly. So the videos will probably do a better job than I'm doing. But I think the most important thing is we can all have really good alignment. It's something like Annie was just talking about, having control. We have control of our alignment. And I think it's probably one of the biggest issues golfers have, that they don't line their body up roughly parallel to the way they're going. Because if you look at it with alignment, this is, if I'm just, even if I'm not playing golf, if I stand here and I swing, my arms sort of always, I just knocked my blue thing over, want to swing parallel to my body. So one of the problems, I'll put this up here, the blue thing, see how prepared I am? There's the blue thing. So if I'm just standing parallel, I'll kind of swing towards this blue thing. But if I'm lined out here, first I'm going to swing parallel and the ball's going right, and I think, oh my God, what have I done? So then I'm going to start doing anything, an octopus swing, to get back to target, because golf is a target game and we want to get that ball going there. And we don't care what we do to our swing so long as we get the ball going there. So the little drill the tip was, in a pre-shot routine, it's really important, as Annie just said, in a pre-shot routine, to get all your facts. That's what we all do. All good players get all their facts. That is the wind, the lie, the distance, where they don't want to go. That's not negative, because you need to know where the enemy is, so you don't want to go where it's bad. So you know where the bailout zone is. Then you pick your club, and then we always, as Annie said, you stand behind the ball and you visualize your shot. You see what it's doing. You have your practice swing, feeling the shot that's going to give that to you. And then what you do is you line your club face up first, club face first. Then grip, body, posture's great. Then you unclutter your mind and you let go. And the most important thing when you're letting go is that there's no clutter, but then you must accept whatever the result is. Because like Anne just said, you can control certain things, but there's certain things you can't. So you must just say, okay, I did everything I could that I had control of. I accept and I move on. I find my ball and I play the next shot. So alignment's really, really important. And I did set up, here we go. I did set up like some little alignment rods. So I think when I'm practicing, I always have sticks either vertically or out in front of me. So I feel like that I'm going through a tunnel. I feel like I'm going through a tunnel, and I'm trying to make sure my body's relatively parallel. So how much time have I got, Brian? Don't want to run out.
You've got all the time in the world.
Oh, okay. Okay. If this is my
Don't
target,
say that, Brian. You honestly, you'll never. She loves to chat.
You're in trouble. So if this is the target, you can see my body. That my body is not going to be lined up at the target. My body is always going to be running relatively parallel. Some people might be slightly closed, some slightly open, but not to a huge degree. So I think it's really important for that pre-shot routine to make sure you got your facts, see what you want, feel what you want, let go of the clutter in your mind as you're swinging, and trust and accept. And make sure you're restaying.
Yes. So
did someone say something?
No. Lisa says, so feet, body, etc. I think it's club, feet.
Club first. Club
first.
I always go club, grip, tilt forward. Then my feet are basically the last thing I put in my final shot. In my final position. Feet are last.
Yeah. And you want feet, hips, and shoulders are all parallel, aren't they?
I think relatively parallel, Annie, because some people might have slightly closed stance, some slightly open, but most people, their shoulders are relatively parallel, but I think the feet can change a little bit, and that can help people with, if you close your stance, meaning you move your trail foot back a little bit, that can help you get a more into-out path on the way through. So you kind of work with what people have got. We don't want to fit everyone into the same box. We want people to be who they are, and we're all uniquely different. So we want people to just...
I like your idea of having a couple of sticks down when you're practicing, or a couple of clubs is great. If you haven't got the sticks, just lay them parallel and then just use that as a guide when you're practicing. And then you can take that good habit out onto the course, can't you?
Of course, it'd be interesting, like with you and Brian also, like when I practice, I actually like to have my two sticks out in front and I'm further behind. I like the sticks out there because when I'm playing, I don't want to be just looking down at my feet. I want to be out there. I want to be out there, not
it's a good visual.
Yeah, and it gives me a little alleyway, which helps. What about you, Brian?
I love doing that. I also enjoy putting two alignment sticks in the ground, acting as little goalposts.
Yeah, I love that. I think you'll see that on that video I put up. I put little noodles on them.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
True. That's where you get incredible distance from your coffee cup.
Oh, the coffee cup. That was so fun. I did that on Sunday. I've got to tell the viewers, I was doing that Sunday because I was filming it for today, and I thought, I just had a coffee, so I thought I'll put the coffee cup down, and I had a ball on it. Then I thought, no, we can't hit a ball in the backyard. So I took the ball off, and I said I was going to have a little baby draw. So the coffee cup should go just to the right of the pink noodle, and the lid should go straight. I only did it once, and it worked. Such fun.
Perfectly. And of course, being the really good golf pro that you are, is when you do something the first time and it works, you walk away, you don't do it again.
It's so right.
Now, Gary has asked a question. Can you see the question, Dee, on your screen?
What do you point the sticks at? The flag or 10 o'clock? Flag.
So I think that's to encourage swing path. I think Gary's getting.
Oh yes. There. So no, what I always do, I always have the sticks pointing in the direction I want the ball to start, and then if I want to get a little draw, I'll just feel like that could be a bit complicated. I'm swinging a little bit to the right. If I want to fade, I swing a little bit to the left.
Actually, this week's tip is Dennise showing everyone how to hit a baby draw for ProGolfGals. So that comes out on Friday, so look out for that one. And Dee explains exactly how to hit that by doing what you're saying, by starting off your swing on the correct path.
But that was a great question. I remember reading something, Brian and Annie, and I use it a lot in my teaching. I say the flag stick is the final destination. It's not always the target. I didn't make that up. Someone else said it.
I would almost go
you started off on a different path.
Yeah. I would actually say that people shouldn't be going for the flag stick in most cases.
Yeah.
So the flag stick's a distraction.
Yeah, it's a fun, and it's like often we get those sucker pins, don't we, where people think they've got to go for the flag stick. But all people, not just amateurs, pros, everyone. Sometimes we just kind of want to gamble a little bit more than we probably should.
Yes, so Gary's just said, so point at the start of the flight path. That would be, you could do that easily, Gary. That's a good take. Okay. So the first one is one of these things. I think you've all got one of these home. This is one of the best grip training aids you can get. Now, if you want, I've got a sale on my website and I can sell you one for $300 if you'd like. But wait, you'll get a set of steak knives. No, only joking. You just have a remote control. Now, what I like about the remote control is when we take the grip, let me try and turn this around. If I grip with my thumb on top, I don't want it over the remote control. I want it on top of the remote control. Then when I take my right hand grip, I don't want my thumb on top. Is that angle better? That's it. I want it over the top a little bit. So when you consider the more time we spend at home, we should be picking up a club every day and having a few swings with it and getting used to the grip. You can do it while you're watching the television, but try not to get your right thumb, assuming you're right-handed, to be underneath or on top. We want it over that remote control. So if I do it this way, it's hard to get the camera right. That's it. So I want my left thumb on top there and my right thumb over that way. So that's a really good training aid that I'm sure everyone has several of these lying around the house that you can use. The other training aid is one of these, a coat hanger. So we can actually use the coat hanger to improve our swing path. So if I hold the coat hanger like this, when I swing the coat hanger, I don't want it on that angle. I don't want it on that angle. It's sort of just slightly there pointing at my right shoulder as I do it here. So we can do it on that side. And if I turn around, I can then swing through, and we want it, basically, we don't want it up there. We don't want it that way. We certainly don't want it that way, but it's sort of up around the shoulder. So we're trying to get it to shoulder, and that's going to help improve your swing path and your release. Now I'm going to have you, this sound is going to be terrible, but I'm going to do it because I think I need to. One of the best training aids I ever used, I don't actually have a use for anymore. One of those.
Why don't you,
I
Brian?
can use that.
Well, before I had kids, I used to perm my hair. When I was playing on tour,
You've got to have a photo of that.
I'm not putting that up, don't worry. I put some others on Instagram recently, but I'm not putting that one up. But no, I used to have the mullet and it was all permed and very good. But this is a really good training aid for putting. So the feedback is going to be terrible. So just turn the sound down and I'll do a Marcel Marceau and we'll see how it goes. See that? You can. Okay, so we just hold the hairdryer and we start swinging. If I get jerky, it does that. So we just try and get it so it's nice and smooth. It's a really good way of practicing your putting. That echo is driving me insane.
That's a good one, Brian, because I think it would take the wristiness out of your putting as well by the look of it.
It does. It's a beauty. And the other variation, if you haven't got a hairdryer, is you can, let me make the picture bigger. You can use one of these, just a charging cord. Does the same thing. So as we swing it back nice and smoothly, it stays there. If we get jerky, it's a blur.
So good for your tempo.
Really good for your tempo. Yeah, and it's the tick-tock. What's the most common thing you see, Dee, day in and day out? If you're going to say what is the most common fault that you see, what would it be?
The most common fault I see is an incorrect grip with the top hand, and it just, particularly for women, it destroys their game, it injures them. So I'll show you just here. The biggest thing I see, and I like once the grip's out, is that everyone, can you see my hand? Yes, it's not.
Yes.
Everyone has the club too high in their palm rather than on the little.
Now we can't see it, Dee.
The little finger, yes. So the little finger, just the knuckle just above the little fingers where you want it to rest. There's a line there through there. They all tend to have it up in the lifeline up here. That would be without a doubt the bit. And then particularly for women, their wrists working this way. They get tennis elbow. The club face closes. They flick it open. They come over the top on the. Honestly, it's probably one of the biggest things I see, and it's a shame because people have control over how they place their left hand on the club. It's something we have control over that. So I'm a big believer in sticking to fundamentals. Swing as naturally as you can. Get a good hold of the club for you with your left hand and your right, and have a good posture. And if you haven't got that, everything goes.
Yep. No, I think that's it. And there's no. I mean, the hardest thing is when you change someone's grip, it just feels so bad.
Yeah.
It really does feel bad, and we get that. But it's just, it's one of the benefits, especially now, seeing, if you are unable to play like some of us in Victoria, like all of us in Victoria at the moment, you can just get a club out and start just getting your right hand on top a little bit more and fixing that left hand up. And you can, when you start back, you'll be used to the grip. It won't feel as bad anymore. What's Aimpoint, Dee?
Aimpoint is a technique you will see a lot of the pros use it, and their caddies use it. They get the read of the green through feeling it in their feet, and there's a whole system you use for putts under 3 feet. Then they're different from 10, 15. But once you get it, it's simple. I love doing these clinics because I say to people, you will not leave this clinic until you have mastered this technique. And you can't say that in a lot of clinics. Mark Sweeney developed Aimpoint. You would have noticed the winner of the British Open was using it. Justin Rose, all the #1 players at one time have used Aimpoint. So you'll see them, they get out on the green and they kind of hover over their lines. So they're feeling what the tilt is in the green. And there's a whole system that helps you get the read. They stick their fingers up.
ProGolfGals have got a tip, a video tip you can search on YouTube where we explain it all, don't we, Dee?
Yeah.
You're so good, you're on it.
And as soon as you're able to travel, Dee, you're going to come to Melbourne and have a little bit of a holiday, aren't you?
I am coming to Melbourne to have a holiday. I'm playing the Sandbelt courses, and we're going to do an Aimpoint clinic.
We are. So everyone that's
he's coming down as well.
Yeah, and then we do some ProGolfGals video tips with TheGolfDoctor, in conjunction with TheGolfDoctor.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. We'll have to get ready for that. So we've got some more questions here. David, does a shortened driver shaft length help? Who would like to go with that one?
Help,
so
help what? To get it straighter?
Is there a benefit in some people shortening their driver?
There could be if they're not getting it in on the course, I think. Yeah. Brian, if they're not getting it on the course, then a shorter driver would help their differentiation. They won't be so far off, but they're going to lose a bit of distance. Depends what you want to sacrifice.
But will they? So
it depends if the clubs are being fitted for them or not.
Yeah, but a shorter club makes it easier to hit the ball in the middle of the club face.
That's true.
And the best way to increase your distance is to hit the ball in the middle of the club face more often. So a shorter driver can actually lead to people gaining distance, not a huge amount, but it's because of the average by hitting it in the middle of the stance. And if we think about it, how ridiculous is golf club lengths these days? Yeah, we used to use 43-inch drivers, and I remember I was really out there and I used a 44-inch, and now they're 45 and 46, and they've put a limit on it to 48. So it's It's crazy, but I think there's a lot of merit in that, David. Not for everyone, but it's certainly worth trying.
Do you think, Brian, I've just got a question for you. Do you think, though, also, if you've got a driver, I think the biggest destroyer of drivers is getting lofts that are too less, because if you can't generate a lot of club head speed, having a 10-degree, 8-degree driver is not going to help you at all.
No.
Would you agree?
Loft is your friend with slower club head speeds. The faster the club head speed, the less loft you have. So, it's 6 degrees is not uncommon on the PGA Tour. But for someone that's slower, you definitely get more distance and hit it straighter with more loft. So more 12 degrees. Yeah. So, and who optimizes their driver? All the drivers you get these days have got fittings that you change all the different heads, but most people just buy it and they never touch it. But you can actually optimize it, and you can really make some nice changes by changing the club face angle, making a little bit more upright, helps you to slice less. There's all sorts of things you can do that people just don't do it. David has said that it changed his game overnight when he shortened it. Wow. So it's made a big difference to David.
How long was David's driver before he shortened it?
Yeah, we need more information, David. Give us more. How did it help so much?
You'll give us more while we're waiting for David. I think Lisa's going. If you are going.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for being here.
Hi,
Thanks
Lisa.
for your questions.
Thanks for coming, and enjoy it. And I hope you've got a little dribble of those bubbles left just for a little nightcap.
Oh, lovely.
Gary said, not those silly fingers in the air. Well, that's part that he's referring to Aimpoint. So it is that, but it's more than just fingers in the air. And
it's more than fingers in the air, Gary. It's more than fingers in the air.
Yeah, so you have to
be careful saying that. You get Dee giving you her fingers in the air.
From Sandro. Need to buy a new sand wedge. What would you recommend for bounce on the sandbelt courses in Melbourne? Well, this is. Do you mind if I jump in here?
No, please do, Brian.
This is a subject very dear to my heart.
I'm going to write my answer down, Brian, to see if I'm the same as you.
Yeah, we don't. We've never. We actually haven't had these intimate discussions, have we, Dee?
I'm just going to write. I'm going to write this and see if I'm right. You answer.
Okay, so. Sandbelt bunkers don't have much sand in them. They're very fine, powdery, and there's not a lot of sand. So with good technique is what I start with good technique. And if you haven't got good technique, come and see me and I will give you the good technique. But with good technique, you need a lower bounce sand wedge in Melbourne to what you need everywhere else. Let's see if we can... see what D's popped up. What did you write? Low bounce. Less bounce.
Less bounce. We agree.
Yeah, we do. That's good.
We've done a tip on this as well, haven't we, Dee? We've got one called What the Heck is Bounce? If you want to check that one out. Sorry, Brian, keep going.
So when I fit people for clubs, it's not just a case of getting the right length and the right lie angle and the right shaft. It's also about fitting their gaps in their bag. So anyone that's on the stream here that's had a fitting from me, it's very important that you get the right lie angle for the sand wedge, because most people don't realise that the lie angle in the most lofted sand wedge is probably going to be 2 degrees flatter than their standard loft on their irons, because it's a different technique, and it makes a difference when you've got the right lie angle. But bounce is important, so I'd be looking at around about a 6 degree bounce, 6, 7, 8, but I wouldn't really be going much higher than 8. If you do, you've then got to get a different grind, so you've got some heel relief. But one of the biggest mistakes people make, I think, is they open the club face up, and one of the worst things you can do in Melbourne is open the club face up. Because as soon as you open the club face, effectively you're creating more bounce on the club, and you don't need more bounce in Melbourne. You need less bounce.
It's very trendy, isn't it, at the moment, with all the good players opening up the sand wedge. It always makes me nervous, especially on tight lies, Brian.
Yeah, but when we see the good players, Anne, where do we see them?
on the best courses?
In America, basically. America.
But even like my son, who's a good player, and you know, it's trendy amongst him and his mates to open it up, and it's just makes me a little bit nervous for the average golfer.
Yeah,
that was a great answer, Brian. Great answer. I loved it.
Thank you. I always try and get people to play a variety. You know, once they can get out, I teach them how, or the relationship to bounce. So we open it up, we close it, and if you can control the club and let the club do the work, bunker shots are so much easier. So I hope that answers that one for you, Sandro. David has got back to us, and his answer is more control in the swing, easier to shape, hitting more from the middle of the face.
As you said.
Biggest improvement is confidence, confidence, and confidence.
Fantastic.
And even if something doesn't make sense, if it works, it's really
do it.
Absolutely.
If it works, do it.
Absolutely. Yep. I think this one's got Dee's name written all over it. It's Gary back to putting. Aimpoint is a mystery, but so is Plumb Bob. Oh, actually, of the three of us, there is one Plumb Bob expert amongst us.
No, not an expert. I do have a video tip on plumb bobbing though, and it's got about 60,000 views. It's one of my most viewed video tips, so that might help you if you search how to plumb bob in and roller golf. Hard for me to understand. It is a hard one to understand, and there's a debate that it doesn't actually work anyway. It's more of a confidence booster. What do you reckon, guys? Did you used to plumb bob when you played?
I used to, and then I used to feel it in my feet, and my husband, who was caddying for me, he'd say, "Oh, it's breaking this way," and I'd say, "No, it's breaking the other," and he'd say, "How do you know?" And I go, "I don't know, I feel it in the feet." And I swear, I used to think I'd been given this God-given talent that was coming down to me, but I didn't know. But it was Aimpoint, but nowhere near as precise as Aimpoint. Seriously, Gary, Aimpoint has been scientifically proven, but the problem is there's a few tips out there, and naturally you don't get it all in those tips. So there's some hidden features that you don't get, unfortunately, unless you go to an Aimpoint coach who's got all the little tricks up their sleeve for you. But I know, is Gary in Melbourne? Because they've got a few Aimpoint coaches down there, Brian, as well. Or he could just wait till we get down there.
Well, if he is, we'll certainly be doing one. But let us know where you are, Gary, where you're from. You may have earlier, and I've missed it. It goes here. So Sandro's happy with that, so that's good. I think that's pretty much it. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Annie.
Yes.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you, Brian, for organising it all. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did. And
thank
look
you,
after
Brian.
yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
Stay safe.
Yeah, very, very much. And we'll all be back on the course soon. See ya.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.